It's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing Legacy of Kings by Eleanor Herman. This is a really different reading experience than what I've been reading recently. This is a historical fiction meets fantasy meets actual historical information, retelling, reimagining of Alexander the Great. So we do follow him in 360 BC, which is a totally different time period than anything I've ever read before. I loved it so much. A lot of fantasy books typically will take place in a medieval time period or be like medieval time period inspired, and this one definitely felt like ancient times. Eleanor Herman is a historian, so I expect it to be super atmospheric because she can really give me the details on the clothing and food and the culture and the religion. Because she's a historian and knows all that stuff so well, it made this feel so much more authentic, and I loved that about it. I'm also a huge fan of Greek mythology. Now, while this isn't a Greek mythology story at all, it's a very prominent part of their lives. It's just a part of their everyday culture. So seeing it portrayed that way rather than something like Percy Jackson was super cool. When I was in my Roman and Greek mythology and history course, I loved every minute of it, and this just brought me back to that, and it was amazing. So if you really like Greek culture, Greek mythology, I don't know why you wouldn't enjoy this, why you wouldn't love it. So like I mentioned, we do follow Alexander the Great during his childhood, teen years, exploring the time period when he's really coming into his own, when he's starting to get more involved in politics, and when he's really starting to look to becoming the Alexander the Great that history knows. Alongside Alexander, we follow a multitude of other characters. This is definitely a multiple points of view storyline. I think in this installment we have 7. So if you're not a big fan of multiple POV stories, I'd say steer clear of this one. It jumps from person to person, so you really have to be aware of everything that's going on at once and how all the storylines kind of intersect. But then aside from Alexander, we follow Katerina, or Kat, and Jacob. They live in a small village right outside of Pella, which is where Alexander the Great's palace and his family resides in. They both travel to Pella for the blood tournament. Jacob is a participant and Kat kind of tags along with him. And then we also follow Sinane, or Sin, who is one of Alexander's half-sisters. She lives in the palace with him. And then we follow Olympias, who is Alexander's mom, Hephaestion, who is Alexander's childhood best friend. And then we also have this other perspective, Zofia, and she is a Persian princess. Her uncle arranges a marriage between her and Alex. In this book, she's very much in a different section of the world. She doesn't really intermingle with the other characters. The other characters are definitely very much part of each other's lives. There's a lot of politics between them. Because of that, it gave me a very much Game of Thrones vibe. We have the one princess who's off in the other kingdom. It's very much like a Daenerys Targaryen, at least I felt like that. And then we have everything else going on the other side of the water, kind of like Westeros versus Essos. So if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, I think you would really like this. I haven't read the books, I've only seen the TV show, but a lot of what I like about the TV show is evident in this book. And on top of all of that fun historical deceit and lies and betrayal, there's also this super interesting magic system woven into this, which makes it a little bit more of that fantasy. We learned there are 3 different kinds of magic and there are different ways to obtain them. We don't really see a whole lot of the actual magic in play. I feel like we're gonna get a whole lot more of it as the series goes on. It definitely is woven really well into the story and makes sense, especially for something like this time period where a lot of people very much believed in magic. It made magic feel like it could have actually existed at this time. So while I was reading this book, I also found myself very much intrigued to learn what was actually historically accurate and what was created by Eleanor Herman. And I learned that 3 of our main characters are fictional, but they're true to what they would have been at the time. Those 3 characters are Katerina, Jacob, and Zofia. So then our other characters like Alexander and Hephaestion and Olympias and Sinane are all real people, true to history, and I loved that because I googled some of them and some of their traits are actually based on historical evidence. So Sinane is known for being very fierce, pushed boundaries for her time period, and Alex's mom Olympias was known for sleeping with snakes in her room. It was super cool to see those elements actually included in here. I loved that. It made my history heart happy, the part of me that loves history, to know that it was wrapped up in here so beautifully and made sense to the story and added detail and was purposeful. It totally blew all of my expectations out of the water. I thought I would like it, but I didn't think I would like it this much. I have a feeling this is going to be one of my favorite ongoing series at the moment. I would definitely recommend picking this up if you are a huge fan of fantasy and you like YA but you want something a little bit different. Those are all my thoughts for Legacy of Kings by Eleanor Herman. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'll talk to you very soon. Bye!